Hello, my name is Jonathan Westfall, and I want to tell you about a book that I've written recently called The Mind-Body Problem. The MIT Press will publish it in October, and I hope you will have a look at it and perhaps read it and enjoy it. I want to tell you that I've been thinking about the mind-body problem since I was about 18. Although I didn't know at that time that it was called the mind-body problem. Now that I'm 65 with one foot in the grave, I do know what it's called, and I know quite a bit more about it. Although the extraordinary mystery of it, as it seemed, has remained with it. And so I still love the problem, and I hope the book reflects that. There are, in addition, three things I hope that people who read the book will take away from it. First of all is the fact that the mind-body problem is an extraordinary problem in that it's not just one among philosophical problems. Schopenhauer is supposed to have called it the world not. The world not. He didn't actually call it that. He called something something else the world not. That was the relation between the mind and the world, not the mind and the body, or knowledge and the world. But at any rate, there's something fascinating here. It's that the mind-body problem changes the way you look, not just at that problem, but at all problems in philosophy, or almost all of them. In particular, the way you look at what the nature of the physical world is. So your view of what the physical world is going to have to change. Leibniz in the 18th century saw this, and he saw that you couldn't solve the mind-body problem without rethinking what you thought the whole of the physical world is. And so he did rethink that, and we have his celebrated philosophy of monadism. So that's the first thing I hope you take away from the book. The mind-body problem is radical. It's the second thing is also that it's extraordinarily beautiful, as philosophical problems tend to be, or can be if they're properly stated and understood. But the third thing, actually this is connected to the second thing. The third thing is that the mind-body problem can be solved. And so I give a solution in this book. It's called neutral monism. It's not fashionable at the moment. It was the view of A.J. Ayer, of Russell, Ernst Mach, William James, the American New Realists, and others. Moritz Schlick is a little-known example. And so it has a pretty good pedigree, but Ayer is really the last person in 1936 to argue for it. So my book is unusual in being the first book since then, I think, to follow in that tradition. The book raises for me a new question, although it's a very old question, about the nature of the self. At the beginning, I was perfectly clear that we can't think that the mind, as in the mind-body problem, and the self are the same thing or have much to do with one another. Because if I say, for example, I had fried squirrel for lunch, that's one thing, but I can't also say my mind had fried squirrel for lunch. So the mind and me, we're two different things, if you like to put it that way, or mind and self are two different concepts, is a better way of putting it. Descartes completely ignored this and got his knickers in a complete twist about it, because he thought the mind and the self and consciousness and the soul, it's all the same thing. And Bishop Berkeley is the same, had the same view, even states those obviously mistaken equations explicitly. So I stick to all that. That's all right. The mind and the self are not the same concepts at all, nor do the words mind and self refer to the same thing if they refer at all. I'm thinking of the self. Nevertheless, at the end of the book, I realized that the solution to the mind-body problem puts in very sharp focus what that we need to know about what the self is. If you want to put the question like that, I'd perhaps rather not, but no, that's the way people talk. So that question about the self and its selfness comes in, but it's not the mind-body problem. That's all I was insisting on. The book changed me in it taught me something. It taught me that the whole of the tradition from Mach through to Ayer of neutral monism had not given an account of mind-body interaction. The neutral monists had contented themselves with simply saying, well, everything is this wonderful neutral oneness. Great, terrific, mind-body problem has gone. Although they didn't exactly say that, they offered the view. But, of course, that doesn't solve the mind-body problem. You still have the question how the mind elements interact, if you like, with the body elements, even if they're the same sorts of elements. And my book is the first one, I think, in the tradition to give you an account of mind-body interaction for neutral monism. So in that regard, I really learned something surprising to me. So I hope that tells you a bit about who I am and what you can expect from this book, The Mind-Body Problem. I'd like you to think about going out and having a look at it. You can see it on my website and also on the MIT Press website. And do have a look. I've enjoyed talking to you, and if you see this, do go to my website, and if you read the book, write to me about it, and I'll answer, and we can continue the discussion. Bye then.